That will be the strategy for my game. And I'm going to play with something called Combined Arms, which is like a balanced strategy for an allied commander. It's some infantry, some tank commander abilities. So I'll select that, and that'll be in play, and that'll be a part of my strategy. So I get my starting hands, and I'll get to discard 4 of those so I can get playing right away. So we're ready to rock and roll. Just wait for him to get ready, and let's get going. Like in any war, you start off by building up your forces. You deploy your factories and build your units, and this is exactly what I'm going to do right now. He's building... There we go. He's building his factories, and it's my turn now. So I'm going to build a weapons factory, I'm going to build another weapons factory, and then an airplane factory. And then using the resources I got 2 resources there, I'm going to use them to build the infantry unit. That's the mainstay of the US Army. The Bazooka Joe, so to say. There he goes. So I'm going to pass the turn, and he's built himself a nasty Panzer III, the mainstay of the tank force of the German army. So when we come to the combat phase, we don't have anything to do since we have too few forces. We're going to pass the turn on. It's just building up forces, making sure that we're ready to go to the war. Start by drawing some cards. Great. We got the M4 Sherman. M4 Sherman is probably the most well-known tank, and we'll need that to combat the Panzers. But we don't have anything to play this turn, so we pass the turn. So there's a lot of posturing in the beginning, different tactics. You could go very offensive in the beginning, or you're more passive. So nobody's going to attack, and we move on. And each turn I get to decide if I want to draw 3 cards, or if I want to use those 3 actions to play factories instead. So there's a great balance already. And I only want to draw 1 card because I have 2 factories and I want to play them both. I drew Mines, which is a defensive weapon that you use against tanks. He's played MG34, a deadly German MG, and a German infantry unit. And this is a very famous photo from the war.
Right.
My turn, I start by playing factory and then another factory. And here we see that if I want to deploy a unit, I have to pay the resource cost associated with that. It costs 3 tank resources, but I don't have any at all, but I have other resources. I can substitute those at I have to pay the double amount, but I'll be able to play it anyway. So here goes. Here comes my Sherman. I deploy it, and that's what I'm going to do. So, the Germans are very deadly, especially with the Blitzkrieg doctrine. You win the game by acquiring 10 victory points. Once you have 10 victory points, you've won. And each attack gives you 3 victory points if unopposed. And his attacks are really deadly, but he has to attack with a bomber, a tank, and an infantry unit. And that's exactly how the Germans fought the war. They had the Totales Krieg. That is exactly what he's doing right now. So we're gonna fight this round. He needs an air unit before he can start attacking. And all I need is another infantry, and we're ready to go. So we're gonna draw 2 more cards. Great, we got a tank. He's drawing cards, arming phase, there we go. So we'll start by playing one of those, and then we'll play an engineer. An engineer is a unit that you can find in all the armies. It's not specific to one side. And that's why you see it's a generic unit. But we'll play that. And we should be ready to go to attack him now. And what I'd like to take a moment and point out that the game features different rarities. And this is the most common card. It just has 1 star there. You'll see as we move on, the engineer, for instance, has 2 stars. It's more uncommon. And I hope to God he doesn't draw one of his king tigers. That's really rare and really dangerous. So we're getting ready to attack him. I told him to defend poorly. He says okay, but he still kills me every time. So he deployed a 20mm flak, which is really an anti-air cannon, but it can also be used to shoot at ground targets, but at less efficiency. So let's attack. I have the necessary units for the combined arms: 2 infantry, 1 tank, and here comes 2 infantry, Bazooka Joe, and the engineers, and then the M4 Sherman. And then he gets to decide if he wants to defend or not. If he doesn't defend himself, I get 2 victory points right away. But he decides to send his brave German troops to defend himself, and he plays an additional unit called Feuerbrigade. Deadly, very deadly, and they're quite uncommon as well. So, battle essentially has 3 phases. The first phase is long range, medium range, and then close combat. So, there are some units that have the ability to deal damage in 2 different phases, and I have to choose where I want to use it. So I have to see what kind of units does he have, and can I somehow preempt his attacks. So in the first phase of the battle, none of us has any units that we can use really effectively. I have my engineers, but they're not effective right now. They can only handle mines. So I'm gonna say I don't want to play him. He decides to play his Feuerbrigade, which allows him to swap his Feuerbrigade because they had the ability to call in support. And he calls in support from a Panzer III, which is in ordinary circumstances couldn't defend. But he did that. Is this your idea of like defending poorly? So, he defended poorly, and now we're on to the second phase of the battle. I'm sending in my Sherman. My Sherman kills anything during the second phase. Let's see what he does.
Put your infantry out there.
Yeah, okay. He counters with his own Panzer, but the Sherman is better since mine kills on his only damages. So I get one of these damage tokens, and I can decide who I want to put this on. And I decide I want to put it on the Sherman. He's already fired, and I want to use these 2 afterwards. There we go. And here's the kill token, and he needs to distribute that, put it on one of his units. And he puts it on the lowly infantry. Poor guy. He never even made it to the front. So it's my turn now, and I send my infantry, and they only do damage in the third phase. The engineers, however, they have satchel charges. It's a special rule. Satchel charge ignores heavy armor, and they kill in the final phase. So they're really deadly. So he damages me, and I decide to give Bazooka Joe. Bazooka Joe gets damaged, but he gets a lot of damage. There you go, and then the battle is over. One of his units died, and 2 of mine are injured now. So, as we move on to the next phase, which is the repair phase, I'll get the option to repair my units. Now this is where it gets interesting. To repair a unit, I have to pay the full cost. And of course, an infantry unit is much easier to repair than, say, a Sherman. That costs 3 full resources. But then I have a unit that, the engineer, that wasn't injured, but he has a pin symbol, which means that he needs to reload. And reloading a unit only costs 1 resource. So I have to make judgment call. Do I want to repair all of my units, or do you want to just activate the engineers? So it's a trade-off, and it's really important how you decide what you want to do.